This is TWiT.
Hey, speaking of Twitter, what the hell? What's going on with the Twitter? So Jack Dorsey,
exciting stuff.
Do you think? I think it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sensible or if he will even do it. This was part of Twitter's quarterly results analyst call, right? Or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
Okay. So Dorsey,
The second $1 billion quarter.
they had a good
Things
quarter.
are going well.
Yeah.
Yep. Though they warned that they've had a plateau, so growth won't be as high as it was, given Trump and COVID and everything else.
Yeah. This is the first
Nonetheless,
earnings
good
call
quarter.
after the Trump ban, and they did all right. They didn't meet the growth expectations Wall Street had, but I doubt they ever do. It's always been a problem.
The
Growth
stock
has always-
went up anyway.
Yeah. They are going to add head count more than 20% this year. Overall expenses increasing 25%. This is mDAUs is the new number. We used to call DAUs, DAUs, daily active users, and there was MAUs, monthly active users. But mDAUs are monetizable daily active users. What does that mean? They're not bots?
Oh, I see. Are they? Because didn't they, after they bought Review, aren't people thinking they're going to try to charge people for access
Yes.
to certain people's
Yes,
tweets?
but this number, which this is for current earnings.
So would that be like
that people
Jeff
who
is
see ads as opposed
monetizable,
to-
or is that people who pay for Jeff that's monetizable?
mDAUs, 192 million daily active users. That's below expectations. But the most important thing I think about this analyst call was what Jack Dorsey was talking about for the future of Twitter, including some interesting subscription revenue options. He's talked about paying for the algorithm. Jeff, you better explain that.
And an algorithm app store as well.
Yeah.
This is BlueSky. So that the posting layer becomes the commodity. You make money by adding value, by having the algorithm that finds the things you want, by recommendation. I don't know, maybe fact checking. I'm not sure what all. But
there'd be more
there's a
than one,
layer
right? Because
on
it's a
top of
store,
that.
so you could say,
Exactly.
I'll have that, and that. It's a menu.
I'll have the Fox News view of the world, or I'll have the MSNBC view of the world, and I'll have it against not just Twitter, but one presumes some federated mishmash of various social platforms.
See, that's the thing
So
that
again,
really
that becomes
interested me.
commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the problem Twitter has. If they're going to make money with their mDAUs, they have to be the sole one and only source for all the tweets, a silo. But he's understood that that's really part of the problem with social media.
And it doesn't scale. I mean, it scales. He scaled, but it doesn't scale to the level that Wall Street expects or that he thinks is possible. There's more conversation to be had.
So Dorsey says decentralization could be the solution also to any Section 230 issues that might come from new laws.
Isn't
how
that
is
the
that?
point of Mastodon, though?
Yeah, that's
The whole
well, I think
decentralization?
yes. In fact,
Well, now you'd be a platform over both, I think, Ant.
No,
I'll
here's-
find you the best of Twitter and Mastodon.
yeah, here's how I interpret it. In fact, by the way, the creator of Mastodon, Eugen, is on the board of advisors talking to Dorsey about options. So clearly Dorsey understands. Mastodon is what we call a Fediverse. No, not feta cheese, Stacey. As delicious as that is. Although I like that so much, I've actually made it a part of our Fediverse at twit.social. But the idea is I run a server, you run a server, you. There's hundreds of servers out there. You join a server of your choice, maybe one that fits your worldview or your interests or just people you like. That's your local server. You can follow anybody because it's federated. That's what federated means. You can follow anybody on any of the other servers. And what Twitter is saying is, we'll set this up. There'll be a variety. And by the way, there's other things. There's things like Pixel Feed or Pixel Fed, which is an Instagram, pixelfed.social, based on the Fediverse. So it is identical to Instagram, but it's on the Fediverse, which is actually really kind of neat.
Interesting.
I can log into my PixelFed. I don't do Instagram anymore, as you know, but I do pixelfed.social. And that means I have two accounts, one on twit.social and one on pixelfed.social. I can log in here somehow. Oh, here it is.
Looking.
And you can follow me on both. Oh, I got a two-factor on this. Wow, I really must have taken this seriously when I signed up.
Wow. Yeah.
Jeez, I was afraid
Such
somebody
a good man.
choose my
factor.
So
would find
I
your
think
three
what
photos.
Dorsey is imagining is that Twitter would be one among equals. But that's not even the value that Twitter adds to the game. What Twitter really adds to the game is this algorithm, this curation. So they want to be the view into the Fediverse.
Or they're even what's interesting to me too, Leo, is they're even the curator of the curators. That there's an algo store.
Because of the store, right.
And that maybe Twitter runs that.
Right.
And Twitter has entries into the algo store, is my presumption, that it would have certain views from the social world that Twitter offers you, but others could too. It's just like WordPress.
But
WordPress is a commoditized
Right.
and open source at the software layer. It's at the value add layer where money's made.
Yeah, but honestly, the beauty of the Fediverse is you can do that. I could do that with Twit Social or whatever, but you don't control anything. And I think that would be critical to the whole enterprise. And I worry that Jack is going to have a different vision of what Twitter's role is in this. If it really supports the Fediverse, I think this is great. So this is another. So I should show twit.social too. Actually,
He's got to bet that he can win at adding value.
Yeah, as a curator, okay.
Rather than at controlling, yes.
So this is twit.social. So it looks a lot like TweetDeck. By the way, that was another thing Dorsey floated. Maybe people will pay for TweetDeck. So this looks like a lot like TweetDeck. This is the home, which is the people I'm following, and my notifications. This is the local timeline, which is everything on our server. And then this is a federated timeline, which is, this is a little complicated, everything that everybody on our server is following on all the other servers right now. Bloomberg's bot is spamming it with.
So it's like a graph, like a social graph kind of thing?
Yeah. That's a good way to put
graphs.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Friends of friends, that kind of thing. There is a fire hose you could watch of all the stuff on all the federated servers, but it's quite a fire hose. So this is
A pretty picture of a flower.
Isn't that pretty? So people do this, but then let me show you PixelFed, which looks like, just like
Flowers in the
Instagram.
news, actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It's not that flower, but another flower. This is
another
what
purple flower.
this is.
See,
Just,
they all look alike to me.
this is just like Instagram, right? But
Yeah.
but it's also part of the Fediverse. So my handle on this can be followed on Mastodon as well as anywhere else. So I think that this is.
And then people they see these pictures, but they see it in the format that looks more like Twitter.
They
but it's
could,
Mastodon?
yeah. It's
Okay.
format independent, which is the beauty of it. But if you look at this looks just like an Instagram feed, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, why has an Instagram sued?
Like,
it looks that much
Suit,
like.
exactly.
Okay, fine. Don't
No, I don't
sue
think.
them.
Can you wait? Can you? I don't think you can sue for a design. You can sue for a brand. You can sue
Yeah.
for treatment of content. A design, I don't think you can sue for.
I love it that this is
That's how H&M operates, right?
this is an open source
No,
federated
Okay.
Instagram. It doesn't have any of the issues that Instagram has because it's federated. Now I'm using the PixelFed server, but I could use twit.social as well. So yeah, this
Stacey
is
was
one
about to argue
view.
with me.
This is one view, and this is another view, but it's all. And the conversations are very Twitter-like. Actually, you have 500 characters, which makes it a little better than Twitter, I think.
So you can really be wordy.
Jeff, you can sue for design under, I think, copyright and maybe some other things, but it's really, courts hate it and they tend to block them. So you can sue. It's just
Oh yeah,
difficult
you
to
can.
get it.
Samsung, Apple sued Samsung over the
It's
look
a
and feel.
big deal in the fashion industry.
Yeah, look and feel is a little nebulous, though. That's why courts don't
Yeah.
like it. But a jury can rule. They can say no, that's clearly a copy of the look and feel.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I think I hope that he's not just blowing smoke on this. I think this would be a
Well,
really.
I think he does that too, but
Yeah.
no, I think he's invested in this. He keeps coming back to it. I think he has a vision in his head of what this world could look like, and I think it's a way to. I mean, I was thinking about today, Leo, with the rundown. I wonder whether is there a world where Jack could suddenly leap over Mark?
That's
So
interesting.
by
in
doing
terms
something
of
like this
what-
would be
like, how
a way
would
to
you-
propel his
Because
reputation, is what you're
he's
saying?
No, because what he sees is that he wants to connect to much more conversation, but find the good in that conversation. So Facebook is this closed universe, and what Jack, I think, sees is back to internet roots, the value of being open, and you can scale much bigger, much faster. And he needs the formula to do that and thinks this might be a formula. And then I think that Facebook gets left in the dust because it won't be federated, it won't be curated, it won't be seen. But your stuff on Instagram and Fakeagram and Twitter and Mastodon and everywhere else will be seen through Uncle Jack.
Wouldn't it be interesting?
Okay, devil's advocate with all of that openness and this just big expansion of everything coming out of the silos. Does that equate to even more misinformation out there?
I'm glad you asked. No, this is the beginning. Yes, and it's raw level, sure. The phone book has a lot of people in it you don't want to call. But I go back. I'm sorry about to do this to you. I'm sorry, but get your glasses ready, folks. If we go back to Gutenberg, what happened was that anybody could print anything, and we had no institutions built around finding quality. It took about a century to come up with the institutions of the editor and the publisher, and the critic, and these ways that we found quality in this tremendous abundance that had not existed before. The library, the librarian. These were all institutions of quality that were needed to be created. Well, so now those institutions aren't up to the task of a conversational world. So we need to create new institutions, new features, new companies, new functions, new stuff to help us with that task. So yes, Ant, there'll be a lot more crap, but you'll have easier ways of ignoring it and people who will take you to the stuff that you want. Now, if you're smart, you won't just want the echo chamber. You'll want some view of the world. You'll want to see what's going on. You'll have brands that will emerge, like newspapers did, that will help you find the good stuff among all of the stuff, some of which is bad, but we just ignore the bad stuff. There's bad books on every bookshelf. So what? We don't care because I don't read them. I don't need them.
You could almost say that the silos are part of and I think this is what Jack is saying, the silos are part of the problem right now. So there's a pool of stuff on Twitter, there's a pool of stuff on Facebook, there's a pool of stuff on YouTube. You go to those places to see that pool of stuff, but what if you took away the walls and you had a much larger pool of stuff, and then the value that was added was not added by creating the silo, but was added on the top by filtering and finding the stuff that was best quality or most interesting.
It's a quality layer on top.
So it's just a different place to add the value to the equation.
Bingo.
And I think Dorsey's smart. And by the way, the answer to your question, Jeff, is Facebook becomes, instead of it leapfrogging over Facebook is another, if they're smart, becomes another part of this.
Or they close themselves off from it.
Well, they could.
Facebook says, no, Jack, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then Facebook diminishes.
I think they would do that at their detriment, right? So I think
but they may well do that.
They may. And I think what Jack's plan is, if we do this and we invite everybody to participate, that is of its own going to snowball. The network effect is all in our favor.
It's a new generation.
It's a new generation.
Ant, you were saying Ant?
I was going to say, but can't one argue that there's still a bit of openness because a lot of these posts are shared across multiple platforms because of just being on the internet. You can post something on Instagram and send that URL to Facebook, and it can be viewed there and commented on, and people can talk trash about it and say all kinds of things and stir things up, and then they can take that same URL and put it on Twitter and do the same thing, and they do it for TikTok, and so it's not.
Or another, yes, you're right. Or another way is Facebook can say, we're going to give you the Facebook algo across Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Mastodon and so on. So that stuff can be wherever it is originated. But we can create something that goes across all of those. It doesn't matter where it originates. So it commodifies the origination and values the curation.